production. I am Martin Lindeskog, and Deborah, co-host, she has something to do today, so she can't be here at the moment. But we have Honorable Michael here, executive producer. Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good, Martin. Nice to be on the show.
Yeah. And we were talking about headphones and how you plug them into the microphones and how it sound in a good way. And a new word for me is closed back headphones. What's that?
Right. Well, let's talk about the three different types. Well, there's
Yes,
more than
please
three,
do.
but the
Please,
main
some
three different
background.
types of headphones. So
I'm over. Yeah.
let's talk about headphones. Old school headphones, as you can see, they kind of look like what I have on here.
Yeah.
They've been around for 100 years. They're just a pair of speakers on the side, right?
Yeah.
That put sound into your ears, and the idea is to not have the room hear much of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. The difference between open back, semi-open back, and closed back is how much of that background sound, how much of the sound is able to leak out into the environment around you. Now, a lot of people that just want to be able to have that experience of sound close to them, but don't necessarily need to not heard it in the room. If you're talking super high fidelity, you want an open back headphone. You want that speaker to be able to move freely and be able to give sound on either side to some degree so that it can give you great clarity. Okay? A semi-closed would be closed up enough where it doesn't bleed out into other things very much. Like if I crank these headphones with music all the way on, an open back would actually, outside people would be able to hear fairly clearly.
Yeah.
A semi-closed back, you're going to hear a little bit of it, kind of like when you're on the bus or something and you hear somebody with their little speakers and, their earbuds and they're so loud you can hear that. That's a semi-open back. Okay? And then the next step is a fully closed back, which is what these are here. These are so closed in sound that I can't hear or hear very little of the room noise.
Okay.
But it also affects pressure on your ears.
Yeah.
So that it feels really weird when you wear them or try to talk because you can't hear yourself very well.
Yeah.
But also any sound that happens here, or very little of it, would leak into a microphone that would be
Good.
close to you.
And when you said leaked and then you said bleeding, so you're reading my mind. So I am a sensitive person, and I shout out to a podcast called now The Future of Podcasting with Daniel J. Lewis and Dave Jackson. And when Dave Jackson started that podcast, I think it was the Bleeding Edge or something like that, called
Right.
like Podcasting 2.0. But me as a sensitive person, I'm thinking of blood and bleeding and something accident. And when you said about comfortable, maybe the normal person is not comfortable to talk in a microphone and have headphones and maybe hear yourself, and maybe it's starting getting warm and you wonder what's going around the room. But could you then explain why is it good to have microphones and what's really bleeding?
Okay. Well, my background is in the recording industry. So if we're in the studio and we're gonna play some music into somebody's headphones, and for instance want a musician or a vocalist to sing with it, you don't want that music to be part of that recording. You want it to be almost nothing, if not nothing at all there. So then you can edit it and manage it there. And with that process, that allows you to have a very clean recording without a lot of background. The same thing here, if we're monitoring other people talking, we don't want their talking to be caught in our microphone and rebroadcast back out to others. And that's why a lot of times you'll hear in these group chats, you'll hear a bunch of echo. Well, the echo is their sound bleeding into multiple microphones, and it creates a very weird echoey sound, kind of like talking in a big room or a big long hall.
Yeah, and that could be hard then.
And that can be very, very hard. Okay, so now let's talk about the other type of earphones that are much more modern, these little earbuds, right? As far as I know, they don't make a closed back version of earbuds. They are sort of closed back because they're buried deep in your ear and the sound they make is so small that it doesn't bleed out very far, but they still do. And so you could have little earbuds in there, but if you stand next to somebody with an earbud, because we've all heard it on the bus, on the airport, somewhere else, they've got their music cranked, they're listening, but you can still hear some of that. And with a microphone, it'll pick up those details. And depending on how your microphone is running, like most of the broadcasts here have an auto volume setup. So if you get real quiet, it'll raise the volume until it hears the sound. And if it raises the volume and a little bit of noise in the background, you're going to hear that, and it's going to carry through. So it's all about making sure your production is as quiet as possible. And of course, Bluetooth headphones, we all love them, right? But there is a micro delay in the Bluetooth headphones between when the signal is sent out, converted into a broadcast signal, and then reconverted back into your earbuds.
Yeah, and I'm a nerd there, so when I could tell you about the Bluetooth, I think the technology there was probably created or invented by I think it was Ericsson, but I could be wrong there. The mobile phones, and the Bluetooth is homage or tribute to the Norse that was called in Swedish called blåtand, and that's Bluetooth in Swedish.
In Swedish, and that makes sense.
And the symbol is the B. That's very sharp. So that's what you cut in stone. The runa in Swedish. When you cut it into the stone, you can't do the smooth B. It's this harsh B.
It's a harsh B.
And,
Okay.
and that's the symbol of Bluetooth. And the technology, as I say, we love it, but it's not optimal for recording and other things like that. So then we comes with this bleeding, because now I have a pretty simple one, but it's getting warm on my ears. But I had a very simple one that maybe Deborah said maybe it's picking up and so on.
And if I put
Yeah.
my microphones right here,
Yeah.
if I don't know if you can see it here, but if I put that microphone right next to my headphones,
Yeah.
it'll pick up the music.
Yeah.
On a closed back headphone, it's supposed to pick up almost none.
Yeah. So,
On
so
an
then-
open back headphone, it would pick everything up.
Yeah. So there you had again because then I heard about the concept of monitoring, and that's what I'm doing in the post-production and editing. Then I want to hear it in a good way, but when you want to record and doing this live streaming, then this closed back is good. So how do you find closed back headphones, and what kind of price range could you find them in?
Well, closed back headphones can come in everything from, well, the ones I have on now, we just recently picked these up. These are made by AKG.
Yeah.
They're AKG K92s. They're $50. They have a very nice sound. They're not, I've got studio headphones that are $1,500, $2,000. They don't have the clarity of that. But in something like this, we're not really worried about that kind of clarity, because we're just monitoring what's going on today live.
Good. That's a good tip, and I like for the viewers there and for the listeners. After you and Deborah have done the magic work, we could describe the headphones. They are very fancy with golden touch there, right?
Yeah,
Often they are very black.
They kind of have a
Yeah.
golden sound, but
Yeah.
see, as you can tell, when I take them off, Martin, if you talk, you'll be able to hear yourself.
Talk. Yeah.
You can hear it picking up in the microphone.
That was
But-
a very good example. But,
But
how it could
But when
end
it's
up.
closed here, nobody hears it, and that's the difference between an open and closed.
Yeah.
And an open would allow that little bit of sound
Thanks.
to bleed over.
For this example, it's good then to watch the video, and then hopefully the listener will understand what we are doing. But that was what Deborah was really getting at. And then, as if you're not so familiar with this and don't know it, and maybe don't want to have, for certain reasons, because it's starting getting warm here, and you don't know how to do regular headphones, then you don't have it, and then you could get that results, but not sounding good. And for me, as not a technical person, trying to editing that out is very hard.
Yeah, once you get a bad sound in an audio track, you can't remove it back out. I mean, there's some software that'll limit some of it,
Yeah.
and that goes into that other side. People say, I bought a set of noise canceling headphones.
Yeah. I have heard
And what
about it.
noise canceling headphones are is it brings the signal in, digitally looks at it, and it's looking for duplicate sounds.
Yeah.
But an echo, a strong echo or a weak echo can have different digital sounds, and the sound canceling may or may not cancel that, because it's looking for two parts, things that are duplicate and things that are room noise kind of thing. And the really expensive ones have a microphone that listen to the room and cancel anything that's that noise that comes into your headphone signal. But they're very expensive to really be very effective.
Yeah.
And even
Okay.
at that, it's probably only 10 or 20% of the background noise that's removed.
Yeah, and you and I will then soon do a shout out here, and because why we are talking about that. So you are coming from recording and studio engineering and music, and in a way it's similar to podcasting, but we don't often have to have stereo. I mean, it's good enough to have at the end the MP3, and as me. I could listen to a podcast at something called how do you say? Not the train, but now I will get it. But you have it in San Francisco. What is it called? The
Oh,
cable cars.
like the cable cars, the
Yeah.
trolleys.
Yeah, have a trolleys.
Yeah.
And to listen on that with simple earbuds, it's good enough if you could hear it. So you have that podcast at the end that it should be good enough for the regular user. So I'm been thinking of that. So maybe we should try to spread that word for the fellow podcasters out there to think about your headphones when you're doing live streaming or doing this recording. And then maybe, do you need to have a second pair of monitoring phones when you're doing the editing or post-production, or could you have the closed back headphones also?
Now, I can edit with closed back headphones, but they don't articulate. Like in the studio, we'll have better headphones because we might have 10 or 20 or 30 different instruments playing in, and we have to hear the fine details between the two.
Yeah. So then I will do talking about this again. Maybe
See,
we'll
like-
get
These look identical,
yeah.
but these are open back headphones. These are so that speaker will move real easily.
Yeah.
But they look the same,
Yeah.
but they work very different. This one, if I put a mic next to it, it's going to feed back
Yeah. Okay.
if it's alive.
So we will do some, and we could say that for record, we are not yet sponsored by any headphone companies, and so we are taking this honest review. And I before was showing a very simple cost for like $10 that I've been using for some time, and before that I had Sonos Prevus or something like that, similar to that. But then they broke with the cable, and now I think it's Philips.
Philips, yep.
And pretty simple ones also, and as I said, starting getting warm. But we will do some specific ones that I'm curious about, and then you could do your recommendation. You have to do this AKG, as you said.
The AKGs, yeah.
Yeah.
And these just happened to be, we were looking at, me and Deb were sitting looking at Amazon, and there was like 50 different closed back headphones.
Yeah.
And I have a pair of AKGs in my studio. Deb uses a pair when she's mixing down.
Yeah.
And they're both good headphones. I've had Shure, I've had several of the other brands. They're all good. It's just a matter of, it's about how the technology is put
and
together.
some are doing both, like microphones and headphones. So that's why I wonder why they don't talk more about it, what the combination. So with that said, how this brought up this topic, and Deborah and I talked about it, is to have a shout out to Gail, that often wants to listen and talk when we do live streaming, not on a mobile phone, but in a web browser. And sometimes it's a surrounding that could be challenging. And also others that we have had on, like Twitter chats or Twitter spaces, or X spaces, what it's called now. And it could be hard to find, these big, bulky headphones. Instead, it's very easy to have directly talking into the computer or into the phone, or the earbuds. Or in the long run, I have an old iPhone S, 6S Plus, but I have an iPhone 14 unpacked yet. But I am still keeping this one because that was the latest one that you could have this 3.5, putting in the headphones.
Right.
Now you have to have this jingle adapter, whatever, together. And then it's easier. It will be in the future. It will only be the Bluetooth, but that's for the listening and talking to the phone. It's not for using for recording.
Well, exactly. The iPhone, though it's gone into many markets.
Yeah.
The whole idea is the iPhone is more of a consumer based
Yeah.
rather than a professional studio. Back in the days when you had the big TV broadcasts like the Daily News, each person would have a microphone, and many times they didn't have monitors because of this same problem that we have here. But when you're at remote locations, you always have a difficulty being able to hear people at the remote and hold a conversation with them without having that being picked up in the microphone.
So I, as an example here, I have started and helped. I'm a member of a business forum, a business network called Booster Friends, and it's a Swedish one in Gothenburg, Sweden, and in Kungsbacka commune. And there, the guy that is the co-host and also co-founder of his business network, Patrick, he knew Audio Technica Nordic, the salespeople there, or vice president there, because they had this agency, or how you say, agentur, or licensing for the Scandinavian or Nordic markets for Nintendo, but also Audio Technica.
Yep.
So they recommended it as a personal favor and a good tip, because it's a local, to support the local. I mean, Audio Technica is made not in Sweden, but they had this sales office. So he got a set there, and I have heard lots of good reviews about that brand. So I'm thinking about that. And then I have, because I have this Rode microphone, NT USB Mini, and they haven't been into headphones, but now they have created something called NTH100, and it looks very fancy and interesting. And when I started looking, it got some good reviews, but then it was a small details about the clip on the, how to say, headband, that was in plastic that could break. But other than that, it seemed to be lots of interesting features, and that costed in Swedish crowns around 1,500, between 1,500 and 2,000, like, so $150 or $200. So for me right now, I mean, I would probably be on the edge and waiting and see, and maybe we could in the future get sponsored or getting a special deal. But I got because I like this one, the microphone, so why not have headphones for that? So we will include that in the show notes. And I think you had looked at that blog post by Buzzsprout, that is a podcast hosting company. And they had an article here, a blog post called Best Headphones for Podcasting. And it is dated October 10th, 2024. Best Headphones for Podcasting 2024. So they have, and I will ramble now, Michael, if I could scroll down pretty quickly.
Oh, please do.
Yeah. So now we could have some, how to say, pause music. Talking. If Deborah will hear, she could sing along. So
here's a little elevator music, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Deborah, now it's you.
So with that said, Audio Technica M20X, $49. One Audio that I haven't heard about, wired headphones for $40. Sony MDR 7506, $100. Sennheiser HD 280 Pro, $100. And there you have this AKG. Where are they produced, manufactured? K240 MK2, $125.
Do you mind screen sharing that? Because I'm actually, we'll just take it over
now
here.
I will see if I could manage that. So I will do.
And I've through the years, I've used many of those brands, and they all make a great headphone. It's a matter of when you're reading the fine print of the details of what headphones you're getting. For many years, I did the semi-open back or open back uh, for a lot of low level recordings because you didn't have live broadcasts that could
Do you
get an
see it
echo.
now? Yeah,
I can. It looks very nice.
yeah. So
Matter of
this
fact,
was
I've had a pair of those
yeah,
not too long back.
yeah.
Um,
And then it's starting to again at Bayer Dynamic. I never heard about them. DT770 Pro, and that's almost $160.
they have good reviews. They have
Yeah,
good reviews.
yeah. And then I think we are getting to the end. V Muda Crossfade M100, $250.
Okay. Now they may have great sound,
Yeah.
but are they in any of these descriptions? Are they saying open back, closed back,
No, that's
semi-open?
what. And that's why for me it was a new new word, a new concept. I don't see it anywhere. So
And I
maybe you
found
have to
many
add
times
that to the dictionary.
many times you have to do some research on their websites and you have to ask those questions because though headphones do isolate you for sound, they don't necessarily
Prob-
isolate the room around you.
Yeah, probably it's what I was thinking. I will have it monitoring when I having talking and having co-host and guest, but then mainly for the editing and post-production. But now you have now given me something new to think about. So
A new
it's
thing.
good. And to joke with it, it's not bad. That's the wrong word. But now I have to, shop around. So that's
Right.
fun. Shure SRH 1540, and that's $500.
Wow, they've got to have some good sound.
Yeah.
I have a pair of Quincy Jones AKGs that
Is
that,
that
that
the
are used in the,
musician?
the musician
Quincy Jones?
correctly.
Yeah.
Correct. They made a special model that was specifically for recording. Those kind of recording your listening to your monitoring.
Yeah.
And I got them used. New they're $1,500-$1,600. The sound is absolutely great.
Yeah.
But if you try to record a microphone and you're within about 6 inches of that microphone, it'll actually pick up the music in the headphones and put it into the recording.
Wow.
And see, now when we're talking about a live show where you have people talking here, your microphone is going to pick that up if you get close enough.
So now I'll end with this one, and then we will have some, maybe a wrap up here.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
I will do this one that I was interesting, and we'll see here. Where do I? No, I want. Okay, and then I will do the last sharing here. Share screen, and then window. No, where it was end. So, do you see it now?
There, it came back. Yes.
Yeah. So NTH 100. What do you think when I scroll here about these?
Well, let me see. If you don't mind, I'm just peeking at what you're doing, just like I would if it was at any other desk. Let's see.
Yeah.
It's giving me a lot of technical stuff.
Yeah.
Now, when you read it, do you see anywhere where it says open back or closed back design?
Yeah. That's good. Good question.
And I find a lot of the companies
Covers everything. Yeah. From locking the headphones cable, adjusting. But that's more.
That's more a user process.
Yeah.
And this is part of that research of being a professional. The more professional you are, the
Yeah.
more time you have to spend researching the tools that you have. If you're a carpenter, you may have several different hammers to do several different things. Well, as podcast producers, we have different tools to do specific things as well.
Key features. Here maybe we could. Yeah, I can't see the word that we are looking for. So, yeah, maybe we are onto something here. It's interesting if manufacturers and developers and so that want to sell to podcasters, for example, and live streamers and whatnot.
Well,
not
and
include that or
and
describe that.
versus even the most basic of good headphones versus playing sound out of your speakers and having the microphone there. Even the most basic are going to make a difference versus if you're doing speakers and in an open microphone that is going to pick up you and the other people.
Yeah.
Oh, here, let me put my office back.
Yeah. So do you have any, ending thoughts, any recommendations, what to do when you want to get headphones together with microphone for podcasting, live streaming, etc. But also for maybe music. So
Well, and this is the balance you need to do. First of all, it's about a budget, right?
yeah.
Because we all have to do this. Not all of us can go, hey, I want a $5,000 pair of headphones, or what's that in Swedish crowns about
That's 50,000.
50, yeah,
So,
50,000 crowns. Not all of us are going to even consider that.
No.
So it's a budget, but then it's about looking at what am I doing with it? Do I need it specifically? Am I with large groups? Because if I was broadcasting with large groups, I would make sure I have the best closed back headphones, keep the volume down, so that we minimize our echo.
Yeah, and
Because
that-
that's about
yeah.
clarity.
And that we could maybe be a follow-up if you're up for it, because it's very simple, this NT USB Mini Rode. So it's not many buttons and gears, but so it's only, and it's same something with gain, but it's not much doing. And then it's like if I press it in, then it is something with to hear yourself. But when I did it in another recording here, podcasting, when I looked at on my computer with in and out sound, it was like moving automatically. So I started hearing very, not background noise, but so when I pushed this button, I have never done that before. So I have to read about it, and when you try to read the instructions, for me it's good that it's not so many buttons. It's good enough sound. I like the technology. With this microphone, I could connect other microphones and then use Rode Connect on my computer when I meet physically, and that's very an advantage for me for the future. Like that, you could help individuals starting a podcast, or maybe
Right.
we don't have a studio. So that's why I did it, and you could pick it up and so on. I want to have a boom arm later on, so
Right.
you could see my face
You can see-
also.
and
you?
and that's the difference is
Yeah.
like if you watch American radio shows, when they broadcast, they have the microphone on a boom arm, right?
Yeah.
And they always have the headphones. Well, those microphones are specifically designed for doing that kind of studio because they shut out most of the rest of the sound around them, and they work very well in that small range of what a person talking is. But they shut out the really lows or shut out the really highs. They'd be very ineffective if you put a drum cymbal up in front. They would not sound good. But if you're talking, they pick up very well. And that's that whole thing. Microphones are a whole nother story, and that's it's about budget. What do you have? And then as you grow, you will find, hey, I need to increase my game.
So maybe that could be the advice. I mean, it's the budget, and you could start with something that is good enough. But maybe that could be the call to action to think about to getting headphones, so you don't get that bleeding, leaking, surround in a bad way, surround sound that is
in a
starting
bad way.
echoing, because
Exactly.
it could be disturbing for others in the meeting or the live stream. And then it could be hard for the person that will do the editing and post-production, because it's starting to getting this roboting sound. So think about headphones, and then of course, if you do it for a long time, they should be comfortable, so you don't, sweat or whatever, or starting, get dizzy or whatnot. And then to joke, and I think Deborah will get a kick of that. We are talking about podcasting 2.0, and we are very much for audio, but we're doing live streaming because it's a thing to market and to test out things. But often younger people could think that the podcast is two dudes with a microphone and headphones and it looks cool, right? But you can't subscribe to it. I got so many aha moments listen to the episodes now with why it's so important to have an to validate your RSS, your real simple syndication feed. It got me this aha moment that this is really important to preserve, defend, and extend and enhance and doing things. So what the topic we're
Absolutely.
talking about now, it's basic, you should get it, but if you don't know, you don't have it. But when it's getting this rabbit hole and jungle, what should I pick? So could you give some like ending advice there? Maybe you should think about getting a headphones, but you have the budget, something else that you want to give us a suggestion?
Well, the three things to key good sound
Yeah.
is a mic that's designed for what you're doing. For example, just quick detour. I have shotgun mics up here. What a shotgun mic is, a big long mic, a big long skinny tube, made specifically for like news and broadcast in the old school, because you could be 10 feet away and it'll only pick up just what's narrowly in front of it. Why do we do that? Because in any given room, your room itself can give you some echo. I have an acoustically dressed room with foam all the way around. The background here is got foam behind it, so that the room has minimal echo. But a lot of times people go in their bathroom and, hey, let me make an album out of my bathroom and use the bathroom for the echo.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and record a podcast there and see what we're talking about.
it could
That's
become
room conditioning.
Yellow submarine of that.
And it's going to sound like you're in a big submarine. And that's the balance of reality, is that we need to do what we can to prepare ourselves to be able to look as professional as possible, even in the starting game. Take time. Do a recording in your bathroom and then do it in your bedroom, or do it, do a recording on your back porch if it's quiet enough,
Yeah.
and see the difference and listen to yourself too.
Good. And now I got maybe that could be the listener that don't want to be comfortable and ask this so-called dumb in quotation marks question, because now when I'm talking with you, Michael, so you're really popping ideas and it's comfortable talking with you, and I hope the listener will feel that they are comfortable listen and getting this advice. So you will, you have that as the song with Deborah, that how do you say that in your intro in so good way, that it's only temporary? That you
Deb
feel,
song.
yeah,
It's only temporary, guys. We're only on this earth for a very short time,
so
and the impact we make, we should do it the best we can.
yeah. So that, I was thinking of that because this one don't have any microphone on it, so that's for the monitoring. But often with headphones, right, you have a microphone, and then it could be a challenge with that also. So,
And the idea of having a microphone on your headphones is purely convenience. It purely is. It came out. They came out in the trucking industry back in the 60s and 70s, so a driver could drive and be able to talk and communicate with others and be able to do that. In the 90s, they started coming into the gaming consoles so the kids could continue to play without holding onto a microphone. We also saw in the 80s and 90s that the large rock stars would be running around with that little tiny microphone with the little round thing, Well, those microphones are extremely expensive if they're going to be rejecting the sound around them.
Yeah.
And all of those had to have a closed back headphone of some sort, and most of those were the earbuds that were a wired earbud to be able to make that work. Otherwise, they couldn't hear what the band was doing. The audience couldn't hear what the mic was saying, and it's all about clarity. The clearer you have it, the better people can understand you, the more you can articulate what you're doing. And you can even have a show about pink ponies, and people would love it if they can understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But if you're sounding like a heavy metal rocker screaming in a microphone and nobody can make out what you're saying, you can't get content across. And that's really our job, isn't it?
It is, and now you will get for extra credit and for a follow-up again. This, if you have this like headphones, but then you have this what called pilot mic. Could that be good for like a guest or for live streaming? Often gamers have that, but is it suitable for podcasters and live streamers that you want to use later on as audio? or
Well,
could that be a challenge?
Well, let's talk about the production and the quality of what that microphone is. So you buy a gaming set of headphones that's got a mic, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say it's $100 set of headphones. They're going to put $65 to $75 worth of value in these two here. What are they going to put in here?
Yeah, that's a good. Thanks.
And if you go down to, we used to have Radio Shack many years ago, and you could go down and buy a $3 microphone at Radio Shack, and you could plug it in, and you could hear the recording. But if you go into a studio where they're using a $30 or $40 or $50,000 mic, the sound is completely different. And that's the difference: is the better the mic, the better the sound. Like Garth Brooks, when he was running around with those beautiful headsets that we all loved and we all wanted one, right? They were back in that day where they were $12,000 a piece.
Wow.
Now they're like $30,000. $30,000 for something hanging in front of my head, not going to happen. But a couple $300 might make a big difference. And actually, what Deb does some of her other shows where she has to do it on the iPhone, we actually have one of those little microphones for her. It's called Countryman, and it plugs into our other existing equipment. It's a very good microphone.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend it for most people. Matter of fact, it's sitting here. Where's the other end of that little bugger? Guys, this is it.
Yeah. That's for often that you see on stage and so
That's
on.
that's the modern thing you see on stage. This thing here, I got it used from a place that went bankrupt, but this thing here would be about $5,000.
Yeah, and
for that.
and it doesn't look much for
For five. But it's all about the technology,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. Is it's going to give you really clear sound here.
Yeah, and so then I will really give you an extra point here.
It may give you extra points, but
Yeah,
for most of it, that's completely impractical.
And a repeat of the call to action and wrap up, because then we could have another talk about that what we did, Deborah and I, we talked about testing the live on TikTok, and we also
Exactly.
done with Twitter Spaces or X Spaces, and then I got that help and advice by you and Deborah to on my old phone, iPhone 6s Plus, I had an adapter that I could both connecting the monitor, headphones, and a lavalier mic, and Rode lavalier mic Plus, I think. It's not the top of line, but it's pretty good for the price, and it sounds it's doing its job very well.
It's doing its job,
Yeah.
and that's and some of this comes from you don't get the bottom. You don't get the $3 microphone. Get something in between, but do your research. Spend some time. If you go into a place where you can purchase it, bring enough equipment where you do a little recording in the store.
Yeah.
I've been known to go into a Guitar Center here that's local here in LA, and there's several of them. And they have all these guys doing all this crazy stuff. Grab a microphone that's supposed to noise cancel and go, okay, I'm going to go over to the drum session and I'm going to talk. I have a little talk and I'm going to record myself. I'm going to see, how does the mic work? What's it do?
Yeah.
Because I'm educating myself.
Yeah.
And the more education I have on what I'm doing, the more I can translate it to somebody else.
Yeah. So thanks with that, Michael, and
You're welcome.
And talk to you soon again, and welcome back, Deborah.
We
so-
hope to see Deborah
soon.
back on stage very soon.
Yes.
I'm
And-
missing her presence greatly.
Yeah. And in the meantime, you could listen to her, right? So that will be the
That's-
outro, to listen to
that-
Deborah. So
that's right.
could you please do that, like impromptu, your outro, Michael?
Summertime and the living's easy.
Right?
Take it away, Deborah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, Martin.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay. Okay, we've stopped recording now.
Yeah. Good.
She's in the background laughing.